Hi, Tom from Photoix here with a quick photography tip guide. Today we're going to be talking about aperture. So, what is aperture? Well, aperture simply means a hole or an opening, and that's exactly what it is. It's a hole or opening in your lens. How can a hole in your lens help you with photography? Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay, so it is slightly more than just a hole. If you take a camera lens like this one, you can clearly see inside there's a hole in the middle. By using the aperture mechanism on this particular lens, I can open the hole and make it bigger or smaller. So what does this actually achieve? Well, if I open up that hole a lot bigger, a lot more light can come into the camera sensor. This, in turn, will allow me to use a much faster shutter speed than I normally would be able to. If I make the hole smaller, it restricts the amount of light coming into the camera and therefore makes the shutter speed a lot slower. Why would I want a slow shutter speed though? Well, usually I don't, only in specific circumstances, but this hole performs another function. The aperture not only controls the amount of light coming into the camera, it also controls the depth of field. Now the depth of field is the amount in the picture that is in focus and out of focus. I'm sure you've all seen portrait pictures where the person's face is really nice in focus and the background is all blurred out. This is called depth of field. In that particular case, we call that a shallow depth of field because only a small amount of the picture is actually in focus. To get this effect, the hole in the lens must be really big and it lets in loads of light. So a really big hole in the lens gives you a shallow depth of field, which gives you that really blurry background look. Alternatively, if I make the hole in the lens really small, it restricts the amount of light coming into the camera. And this, therefore, gives me a bigger depth of field. It makes more in the picture in focus. Again, I'm sure you've all seen landscape pictures where the picture is completely in focus from the very front all the way to the back. That photographer has used a narrow aperture or a small hole and has got all that picture in focus. When we talk about aperture, you'll often hear it referred to as the f-stop or the f-number. If I wanted to shoot a portrait, I might use an f-number of f2.8. This is a really big hole to get that blurred background look. The f part means the focal length, and then the number after it is actually a mathematical fraction equation which we don't really need to go into today. All you need to remember is the larger the f number is, the smaller the hole in the lens is, and the more depth of field you will get. So f22 is a really small hole, but it's a high number and you'd get a lot in focus. Although I wouldn't recommend using f22, but that's for a different video. The smaller the f number is, the bigger the hole in the lens is, the more light comes in, you get a faster shutter speed, but you'll get less in focus. So f1.4, for example, would be a really big hole in the lens. It would let a lot of light in and give a fast shutter speed, but only a very small amount of that picture would be in focus. This can get confusing when talking about large and small numbers and wider and narrow apertures. Just take time to get it into your head. A narrow aperture means a small hole, a wide aperture means a big hole, a small hole means more in focus, a big hole means less in focus. So that's the very basics of aperture. As usual in photography, changing the aperture changes something else, the shutter speed. You can watch my other videos on shutter speed in the description box below. If you have any questions or comments about this video or anything else, please just leave them in the comments and I will try my best to get back to you. I hope this short video helped you and I'll see you all next time.